I think it was the Brooklyn Dodgers that said this all the time. And it still holds true. There's always next year. Welcome back, my friends, to episode 11 of Lionhearted, the return of TSV 1860 Munich. And it's time for the end of season review as we take one last look at the disappointing year that was. And when you start off getting an F on your deal of the year, it was the signing of Florian Klein-Hassel from Osnabrück, the team that eventually knocked us out of the playoffs. 22-year-old fullback. He is going to still be with the squad. We got him for 275,000 euros. He made 16 appearances for us, no points, 6.85 rating. Raphael Holzhauer was a bit better for us. He came in on loan from OH Leuven. He made 35 total appearances, scored 12 goals, and added 7 assists with a 6.99 rating. We got Marco Manhart for 54,000 euros, a 20-year-old midfielder, still a work in progress. 8 appearances overall. He did score 1 assist with a 6.92 rating. And Louis Podolski, we brought him in on loan from 96 Hanover. He played 17 matches for us, scored a goal, picked up a pair of assists. He was our most consistent right back. He played there, 18 years old, with a 6.92 rating. We're waiting to hear back, but I think we may have gotten Podolski back on loan for yet another season. The transfers out, also not nearly as successful as we would have liked. Eric Talig, if you remember, he went out very early before we even started play. We got an offer for him that was just too good to pass up. £115,000. He ended up making 34 appearances for Hoffenheim's second team. Scored 10 goals, 6 assists. So, yeah, maybe we earned the D we got there. Richard Neudecker also went out to Saarbrücken. Played 34 matches. The 26-year-old midfielder picked up 3 goals, 4 assists. Nathan Vicht, we were sad to see him go. He went to Regensburg's second team for 120,000 euros, 26 appearances in total, 3 goals, 1 assist as we brought him in. Kind of unexpected off of the second team squad. Adrian Suleiman, he ended up playing 22 matches overall with no score, and then a couple of young guys who ended up going out. One was Sem Savici to Gruer Firth. And the most disappointing move for me personally was the sale of Leandro Morgalla, the 18-year-old center back. The Bundesliga called, and he wanted us to answer that call, so finally sold to Hertha Berlin for 1.4 million euros. We did get him back for the remainder of the season, or at least most of it. They did loan him back to us. He was okay when he came back. I think his mind was in Berlin, frankly, and not here in Munich. He ended up getting injured while out on international duty toward the end of the season with the German U20 squad, and he did not make it back on the pitch for our final match where we failed to win. And Osnabrück, I can't even relive it. Osnabrück took the playoff spot. And we didn't. So, of course, that means our supporters and our board aren't super thrilled with us. They expected us to reach the Dritte Liga playoffs. We fell just 2 points short because we drew in the final match. We were even heading in with Osnabrück. We did have the edge on goal difference. We retained the edge on goal difference. But it didn't matter because Osnabrück won 2-1 with an 86th minute tally against Dortmund's second squad, and they are right now playing in the Dritte Liga playoffs. I wonder if they'll get promoted. I guess we will find out. Our biggest win was a 5-1 victory at home against SV Waldorf Mannheim, where Raphael Holzhauer got things started off with a 5th-minute penalty shot. Skidarovic picked up a hat trick, and Louis Podolski picked up a goal in the 63rd minute. The match to remember, though, was a 4-1 drubbing of Erzgebirge. That was a revenge matchup. Erzgebirge was the only team in the first half of the season that actually beat us at home. So getting revenge on the road was pretty sweet. And the goal of the season belonged to Fabian Greilinger, which we're going to take a look at here. It came in a 1-0 victory against SV Meppen as Greilinger carried it forward, going the distance about, 70, 80 yards, taking it in, putting it in the top far corner. And that 9th minute goal was all that we needed to secure victory at home against SV Meppen in that matchup. Financially, not a ton to speak of. We did have nearly €1,000,000 in total merchandise sales, most of which came in, about 10% came from outside of Germany. We sold almost 6,700 jerseys. The top one belonged to Vernetzi. Stefan Lex was up there along with Finn Lachenmacher, Mara Skenderovic, as well as Kobylanski. Kobylanski really didn't get to play a lot. He was kind of stuck in the depth chart behind Holzhauer. Now, since Holzhauer is going to be back to his parent club on loan, Kobylanski should be getting a decent opportunity here in our second season at 1860. We lined up most in the 4-2-3-1 with Hiller in goal. It said Leonard on the left-hand side, although in the second half of the season, Klein Hassel really took over that spot. Leandro Magala and Jesper Verlat in the middle of the defense, Podolski on the right. Yannick Diekman, who is probably going to be leaving us at the end of this season. He's going to be out of contract. Not 100% sure if we're going to re-sign him or not. He kind of came on toward the end, but I'm not sure if he's going to be worth bringing him on for another year on his wages. Tim Reeder next to him, and it was Vernetzi, Holzhauer, and Skenderovic most in the attacking three, and of course Finn Lachenmacher leading the line for most of the season. He did end up leading us in goals for the year with 22. Holzhauer was number 2 with 12, so maybe, hopefully, Kobylanski can try to at least partially duplicate Raphael Holzhauer's offensive production. Player of the season, both from the fans and from the young player perspective, was Finn Lachenmacher. Florian Klein-Hansel was the signing of the season. The goal of the season, as we already reviewed, belonged to Fabian Greilinger. Top goal scorer, as I just mentioned, the 23-year-old Finn Lachenmacher with 22. Albion Vernetzi with 8 assists led the team in that category. The most man of the match awards did go to Lachenmacher with 6. The highest average rating was to Jesper Verlat with a 7.1. Very quietly, I don't think that Jesper Verlat, to the eye, gave the same impression that he did to maybe those on the coaching staff that were to rate him. We did not win any competition awards, but we did set new records in assists by a player in the season by Albion Vernetzi. Finn Lachenmacher with his 6 Men of the Match awards. Worst discipline did go to Yannick Diekman, which is probably another reason why we are most likely not going to re-sign the 28-year-old. 4 yellow cards, 1 straight red card, and the red card, if my memory is serving correctly, came in the second-to-last match of the season, which cost us the chance to win. We did end up drawing, but those 2 points that we could have had if maybe we weren't down to 10 men for the final 60 minutes of that match, yeah. And Stefan Lex became the team's oldest goal scorer at 33 years old and 76 days. And here is our dynamic head coach. I guess the biggest thing is that we signed a new 2-year deal for Albion Vernetzi back in January. And we signed Max Rosenfelder from Freiburg for €325,000. We are going to have 1 more year to kind of do what we started here. The board has revised our expectations for next year. Originally, in the 5-year plan, we were supposed to get to the playoff matchup this year and gain automatic promotion next year, which is now this year. They have revised that, where now they just want us to reach the playoffs again. Now, I have a strong feeling that if we do not reach the playoffs this time, we're not going to get ourselves a 3rd opportunity. We are on a bit of thin ice, so we're going to need to get the new season off on a strong foot. We're going to have to make massive signings in the summer transfer window. And we got to get the season off on the right foot. No more wobbling back and forth. No more trading wins and losses. We need to have a better time on the road. Our road record this past year, I don't know what it is off the top of my head, but it was pretty dreadful. Financially for next year, we're actually in kind of decent shape. Now, we're only getting 25% of our transfer revenue back into our transfer budget. We don't have the opportunity right now to ask for them to increase that. We did just do that a couple of months ago. We went from 10 to 25. So we'll take that win for now. Hopefully we'll have the opportunity coming up. The transfer budget for this summer is fairly healthy, just under €420,000. We've got a payroll budget of just over €96,000 a week. Right now we're only committed to spending about 81,000 of that. So we've got about about 15 grand in wages that we can play with, maybe pump a little bit more in the transfer budget if we absolutely need to. But we're going to have some holes to fill. We're going to have some backups we need to sign. So we're going to get busy for this summer transfer window, that's for sure. Finn Lockenmacher has picked up the Dritte Liga Top Goal Scorer Award. 22 goals, as we talked about a few times earlier, in 32 total appearances. He also made the Team of the Year as well. Milas Kocic, our young prospect at left wing, has signed a new extension. He's also been handed the call-up to the Euro U21 Championship starting later this month, playing for the Serbia U21s. They're going to be in Group C. We're going to follow that along, see how he does there. He did get some play for us in the past year. I made 8 appearances, all told, 4 starts, 4 in relief. No goals, no assists, however, on that left wing side with a 6.57 rating. We hope that maybe he can improve his play just a little bit. He is a little bit on the slower side, so we are going to keep our eye on that. But it is good to get a young player into the fold just in case it gives us someone to sell for 9 to 85,000 euros down the road. And we just got word that there are going to be 3 new teams relegated from the second Bundesliga: Heidenheim, Kaiserslautern, and Magdeburg. Heidenheim was in the playoff matchup with Osnabrück, which means Osnabrück is no longer in the Dritte Liga. They are in the second Bundesliga, and they rub salt in the wounds because they've been promoted. But none of that really matters right now because we have a new season to look forward to, and it's July, and transfers have been made. We were very busy prior to the opening of the transfer window, bringing in a lot of depth, primarily on the back end of the pitch. A couple of guys up front as well. Some of them did involve transfer fees. As you see, we've spent 155,000 euros so far. A couple from nominal fees we had to pay to the Czechia club that we got these guys from. We got Jakub Rezik, a 25-year-old. He's a winger, can play on either the left or the right-hand side. Not quite as fast as we necessarily would like to have, but he's very good at putting the ball in and taking care of the things that we need to do, and he's going to be a serviceable backup and potentially a replacement if we do need to move anybody on the front line. Aside from Rezik, we also brought in Filip Antovsky, also out of Czechia. He is North Macedonian by birth. 1,300 euros per week. He's going to serve as a backup to Klein Hansel on the left-hand side, maybe get a little additional playing time as well. He's a very good all the way up and down that left side of the pitch, but he is very sound defensively as well. Speaking of the defense, we've added a 6'1" defender from Germany, Antonios Papadopoulos. He's going to be joining us on the back line. He is an amazing tackler, very determined player, very brave. He's got the right amount of aggression as well. We do need to work on his positioning just a little bit to make sure that he is the defensive stalwart that we hope that he can be for us in the coming years. Also on the defense, we've added Omar Diakite out of Senegal. He's a little bit older, 29 years old. He's part of that group that we're looking to be able to slot in this season to replace Leandro Margala, who you remember we sold to Hertha Berlin for 1.4 million euros during last January's transfer window because he wanted to move on to the Bundesliga. An amazing defender, though, very strong, 6'3", 185 pounds, just the kind of guy that we are looking for. And also helping out on the back line, another backup to Louis Podolski this time. I mean, Podolski is only in on loan. We do have an optional transfer fee that we could pay of 325,000 euros at the end of the year if we do want to keep the soon-to-be 19-year-old Podolski in that right back position. So we're going to add the Frenchman Alexis Calant. He's fast. He's a decent defender, very strong with his right foot, standing at 6 foot, 169 pounds, hopefully adding some nice depth over there. On top of that, we have added 5 youngsters for the future. Now, I know you're saying you're in the Dritte Liga. We really don't need to look for the future. We have to worry about winning today, getting up to the next level, but this is going to be a long-term project as we try to get 1860 Munich back into the Bundesliga. Jerome Schultz is a left back. We are going to be trying to train him up into the center. He stands at 6'4", 182 pounds, the 18-year-old. We just got him from Union Berlin for 375 euros per per week. A couple of players coming in from RB Leipzig. 18-year-old Kurt Pestel. He is a right back, can also play in the center mid, the center defensive mid. We're going to be trying out a new formation this year. Maybe that's a little bit more defensively solid than the one we played in the previous season, as we're trying to get to that playoff position once again. Now, the board only expects us to be a mid-table team. They have revised their expectation of us, or at least the top half, I should say. But we're going to try to make the playoffs and get into the second Bundesliga next year. The 18-year-old is going to help us, again, 375 pounds a week, not a huge outlay. Leonard Johans, 425 euros per week. Could play defensive mid, could play center midfielder. He's not very tall, 5'7". He's not very fast, but he is very fit, and he is very good with the ball. An excellent tackler as well. A pretty good investment for the future. Daniel Lang, we got out of Bayer Leverkusen. Another 18-year-old is going to cost us 375 euros per week, and he can play up and down the left side. Also in the middle and in that defensive center position. He is 6'1", 165 pounds. He's got quickness to him. Again, he can tackle, has to work a little bit on his defensive positioning, but we are going to be taking care of that in training a little bit over the next year or so. And Maurice Markowski is a 5'11" left wing back by nature. We're going to train him for, obviously, the left back position because we're not playing wing backs in our current system. He's got pace, he's got stamina, he's got great acceleration. He can cross the ball. Decent dribbler. We are going to work on that just a little bit, but he's got nice technique as well. A very determined player coming in on 375 euros per week. So only a couple of players have gone out as far as free transfers are concerned. One of them is a player that we wish we could have kept. That is Michael Gluck. We had him out on loan last year to Kassel. He did make 33 appearances, did score a goal, was player of the match 3 times as a defensive holding midfielder. Before we decided that we wanted to play a formation that relied on that position a bit more, Gluck had already agreed to an end-of-contract transfer, and he's going to join Sandhausen. We're also losing Yannick Diekman, who was a pretty large part of our team last year, made 30 appearances, added 5 assists with a 6.8 rating. Unfortunately, he was getting a little bit older, and his salary demands didn't really jive with what we were looking to do. We just couldn't retain him. The board isn't thrilled. The supporters are kind of on it as well, but we are sad to see Diekman go as he joins St. Gallen on a free. And we also lost Sean Dulick to Garching. Dulick just did not factor in to our plans. A couple of guys we also released on free transfers. Only one name you're going to recognize, and that is Joseph Boyamba. He really didn't fit into our plans last year, and we didn't see him fitting in this year as well. We did send him out on loan for the second half of the season. Didn't get anything back for him because we just, again, we didn't know what to do with him. We might as well figured he could get some playing time somewhere, and next year it's going to be somewhere else. Now, you may be wondering, we've made all these moves. Are we done for the summer transfer window? Well, if you look at the finances page, you will know very quickly that the answer is no. We have a wage budget of 96,207 euros per week for the coming season, and we are currently spending 111,958, which means that players are going to have to move on. Now, we did make some big re-signings. We re-signed Stefan Lex, who may be moving on. They are fan favorites, so we're going to have to take a look at just who might be expendable, and the biggest name on that list is Marco Hiller. He was our starting goalkeeper for last year, played very well for us, made 36 appearances, only allowed 37 goals, had 14 clean sheets, was named player of the match 4 times with a 7.01 rating. It's not that he's making a ton of money, but our backup goalkeeper from last year, Tom Kretschmar, was not interested in being a backup again. He's 2 years younger. He has more potential than Hiller does. We wanted to retain his services. The only way to do that was to promise that he would be our first-choice goalkeeper, which means that Hiller is expendable. We have already accepted an offer or 2 for him. We're going to see how they pan out. We're trying to get over his value of 450,000 euros. Let's see if we can do it. And with that being said, we have made a couple of moves out. The first is Maris Skidarovich is now at Cracovia and no longer with 1860 Munich. Now, you may be wondering, why we let him go. He was on big wages. He had a great year for us last year as he managed 10 goals and adding 5 assists with the 7.13 rating. The problem was he was not very happy with the club, and his play during the preseason was showing it. He was making very sloppy passes. He was not hitting his crosses. He was not hitting the target when he was shooting, and we were very worried that Skenderovic was going to have a major backslide this year, and we really couldn't afford that as we are pushing for promotion. Also heading out the door is Fabian Greilinger. He was a backup winger for us. Now, he did have a decent season last year. However, he had trouble featuring in games toward the end of the year and then picked up an injury at the end, which really cost us. He's only 5'9". He is quick, but we decided we needed a little bit more strength, and, well, we could get something for him, so Greilinger is out the door. We also said goodbye, at least for now, to prospect Milos Kocic. He's 20 years old. He needed a lot of work, needed a lot of seasoning. We felt like he wasn't going to get a lot of activity off of the bench at 1860 Munich, so we've loaned him out to Fremend Amager, where hopefully he's going to get a lot of playing time. He'll come back next year and hopefully might feature a little bit more in our first team squad. And 2 additional players who are out of contract have been released by the club, Fabian Rother and our former club captain, Marcel Barr. Barr was an excellent servant for us. However, he was making over 4,000 euros per week. We needed to free up that room in the wage bill. He's 31 years old, and we decided that he might be better served playing elsewhere, even though he was good for us when he did play, but he only featured in 55 appearances over the last 3 years with the club. So where does that put us financially, you ask? Well, we're in a little bit of a better position. The money we got from those sales, we transferred out of the transfer budget and into the wage bill. So now our wage budget is $102,542. And we're spending $103,766. We are still looking to alleviate a little bit more of that. Now, Jonas Hiller is still with the club at this time. He did reject a contract, so we'll see what happens as we push through the beginning of the season and the end of our first full summer transfer window here at 1860 Munich. And that's where we're going to pick things up with the next episode as we look to start the season against newly promoted Energy Campus on the road, and then we make our home debut at the beginning of August against VfB Oldenburg. If you liked what you saw, thank you very much for joining us, by the way, but make sure you give us a big thumbs up on the video. Also, make sure you subscribe and turn on your notifications so you know when the next video is going to hit and whenever we release any additional FM23 content. Episode 11 is on the way Wednesday. Look forward to seeing you then. Until then, Babar.